see. Hi guys, I'm just waiting for YouTube for a second. As soon as I got the confirmation and it's actually working, then I'm gonna be with you. And let's see. Yeah, all good. Welcome to the Alchemy chat. It's me, Junior, and Amanda again. This is our Alchemy chat 48, which is good. We got 2 more on this season. I mean, 3 more. No, yeah, 48, 49, and 50. So we committed on like finishing this season, let's say, like we mentioned before, on number 50, and then who knows what's going to show up on season 2 as well, which we're excited about. Today's episode, just to keep you aware of what we're going to talk about, is about co-creation or vision boards. You know what I mean? Why is it that sometimes they work, or why is it that we feel that they actually don't work to us? I tried it myself, like with some vision boards, and you know that kind of synchronicity actually, oh wow, it worked really well in few things. And there were a few things that I was frustrated, like, come on, where is that Ferrari coming from? Do you see what I mean? It didn't show up yet. But I mean, I didn't have Ferrari on my vision board, but nothing against it anyway. So it's a fun, thing that we can actually, play a little bit. What is it behind? We're just gonna, as usual, we're gonna have a chat. We're not saying that what we're gonna say here is truth, but it's our experience with it. Do you see? And you probably experience like we did if you're in the more spiritual, law of attraction, co-creation, and everything. You had experienced some amazing stuff and some like, why is this not happening? Do you see some frustrations and expectations in there? But before I jump in and I let it to Amanda, I'll tell this story that I just told to Amanda as well. I don't know if you guys, and then we can evolve from there. I don't know if you heard that story, for example, that there was this flooding on city or a little town, and then all the houses got fully flooded up to the roof, and then people were on the roof waiting, for help and everything else. And then, the fire brigade, the police, and all the people that were helping, they were like taking people away. But there was this guy in top of his house, what I mean? No, God will save me, what I mean? Then the boat passed by, and then suddenly came a helicopter and like, no, don't worry, God is gonna save me. And then suddenly, I don't know, someone else came and like, come on, let's go, because the other is gonna get on the top of the house, he's gonna die. And then the guy, no, God is gonna save me. And then suddenly the guy, passed away, getting to heaven. And then he's like pointing fingers at God. Why didn't you save me? And why didn't you let me, die? I trusted you so much. I loved you and blah, 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 and everything else. And then God was like, what else did you want me to do? I sent you a boat. I sent a helicopter. I sent other people to help you out. And you said no to all of it. And all of it was part of me helping you out. But that's our little story. Sometimes we do have that, oh, I want that specific red Ferrari with yellow leather, interior and everything else. And why is it I don't get that Ferrari? And maybe, you have a Porsche here, or you have like, I don't know, a little Ford Fiesta that's coming up that is actually giving similar feeling. So that's where we start from as well.
Oh, I love that story because it's on every level. It's funny,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, plonker. But then as you go deeper with it, you think this guy actually, what was his expectation of God's help? Was his expectation that God would part the heavens and this golden figure would come down and it would physically lift him out of the rooftop and deposit him on land? I mean, what was his expectation of God? And I think that's a really beautiful depth to bring to this, isn't it? And God's saying, well, I manifest physically in everything. So, and what did that man wanted to do? Well, he wanted to live. He wanted to live. He wanted to be free to physically live his life. So that helicopter was going to be his way to be free. So, and I think that's a really beautiful sort of leading us on to the vision boards, as we were saying about, we've all done the vision boards and we've all had various levels of successes and frustrations with them. And I think it's taking it that deeper step of, you're not doing anything wrong at all if the red Porsche doesn't appear, because everything we think we put on that vision board is, what will that feel like? What do we think that will bring to us? So of course, when we create it from a more heart-centered place, we will create more out of a loving perspective. So so let's say somebody says, yeah, I just want a really want a great business where it's heart-centered. So they might put on the vision board, it might like a shop, they might have lots of customers coming in, it could be someone shaking the hand of the customer's happy, it could be an overflowing till, it could be loads of Trustpilot 5 reviews, so it's going really well. But ultimately, what is that business going to feel like for you? And that's where it allows you to access that deeper part. So am I creating out of fear, or am I creating out of something that I think is going to give me a more loving feeling, and more that's going to give me fulfillment, satisfaction? For me, making candles through natural products is a way of bringing light into people's worlds. It gives them warmth. I love that feeling. I like the feeling when someone comes into my shop, we have an exchange, I can talk to people. So that vision board is very much about having this candle making business that's successful and thriving and abundant and prosperous, and giving people candles. A lot of people love candles because it's that warm, it's that live light, and I like the interaction with people. It feels loving, it's liberating because I'm prosperous, I'm doing my own thing, so there's freedom, I'm not working for the man. It's creative. I create these different candles and scents, so it's getting my senses going. I might work with somebody that I have an amazing relationship with, and we bounce off each other, and it's harmonious, but it's creative. We bring out the best in each other. So can you see how you might just put a picture of a good business on there and leave it at that and say, I want my candle business to look like this. But if you go deeper with, what do I think this is going to bring into my life? And also, what will I want to bring into other people's lives as well? And that's when the universe might say, we've actually got something even better than what you've put on the vision board. So bear with us. It's like God saying, I'm saving you. It's not a golden figure that's going to part the clouds and come down. And I'm not saying that might not happen with angels, but so life says, bear with us, because we know you're open to us creating circumstances to bring in the best possible physical manifestation of all those feelings and experiences for yourself and others that you want to create through your business. So it may be a candle making business, or it might actually be something else. You might have forgotten that actually you're a great artist, and you might use candle wax to create the paintings. Or so it's trusting that life's always listening to us, and it always wants the best for us. So if we don't physically manifest what was on our vision board or what we were thinking about, it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong, and it doesn't mean you're not worthy, and it doesn't mean you're not a magical co-creative being of light that is able to do that. So it's having fun with that vision board, or having, but if not a vision board, it's being creative, isn't it? And saying, well, I might write it down then, or I might draw love hearts all over it, put light beams on it or something and make it really light. But or you might just go straight to feelings. You might say, actually, it's also okay that I don't know what I want. Because we're kind of told as well, aren't we? And I have this a lot. Well, what do you want? You're like, I actually don't know physically what I want to manifest, but I can tell you what I want to feel, which is harmony, love, reciprocity, joy, co-creating with somebody, unconditional love, wanting the best for that person, knowing they want the best for us, light-filled life, joyful, liberated, fulfilling. So it might be that, don't worry if you're saying, I actually don't know what I want on my vision board. That's equally fine too. You could also say, actually, how would I just like to feel in my life? What feelings would I like to bring into my life? So don't worry if you don't know what to physically put on your manifestation board. It doesn't matter. Life might say, actually, we want you to focus more on what you want what you want life to feel like, and we'll fill in all the blanks.
I feel, thank you, Amanda, because this is so, especially with vision boards, like, and when I came across this first idea of, like, creating a vision board, when you start learning about law of attraction, I didn't, there was part of me that was scared to put something there that I wouldn't, get. There is one part. There is, that not understanding or not having clarity of what you want. And I worked, as you know, with like hundreds of people in terms of their businesses and everything else. And sometimes, we don't know, like, what is it that I want? Do you see? Do I want it? Is it actually, a physical thing? Is it a car? Is it a house? Is it this? Or it's not clear. And there's nothing wrong with not being clear. There are, strategies, there are tactics that you can use to make it clearer. And I feel contrast is a beautiful thing as well. So, and it can teach us what we're aiming for as a soul and everything else. So, like, for example, if you, I don't know, you drove a car that is an old car and then it's breaking down and everything else, then you're like, I don't like that very much. Do you see what I mean? When I'm driving in the middle of the road, I have to drive, I have to call sometime to fix, and then, or in the morning when I'm putting that. So contrast, or those little problems, are like, oh, how would I feel if I had a newer car? Do you see, that doesn't break down all the time? So we can ask, I mean, what are the things that life already show me some contrast that I would like? So that helps us to actually, oh, I would love a newer car. I might not know exactly what car it is. And, because so much of this, law of attraction tell you that, no, you have to know exactly the model, the color, the interior and everything else. And there's some people will have that specifically clear and everything else. And for other people, will be like, oh, I would love to get into a new car that doesn't break down all down the road. So then put some, what cars would I like? Would I like the very tiny one, or the very, sporty and everything else? And then you're going to say, oh, no, it's not this one and it's not this one. Okay, so it could be, you can narrow down into, oh, I would like actually an electric car, for example. You want an electric car. So, oh, okay, now I have a narrower, what are the options for electric car? Do I want a very big one, or do I want a smaller one? Do I want, a taller one or a shorter one and everything else? And they're like, yeah, okay, so now we're narrowing down. Okay, so I don't know exactly what it would be, so, but these ones, they look good for me. Do you see what I mean? And they would fit well for me. So then you can kind of put the feeling of those cars. And then you can actually drive in, and Gabor and I, we love doing this as well. So whenever we have an opportunity to, rent a car, even if it's for a day or if it's for, an hour, like in London, you can do our car by hours, for example, minutes if you want.
Good.
And then you just, you pay per minute or you pay per hour, and then you're like, oh, this car feels good, this one not so much. I always looked at it from outside, it looked amazing. And when we met for the first time, Gabor is my fiance, and then he was always talking about Mini Coopers and how much he loved it and everything else. And I knew about this company that we could rent for, it was actually our second date. And then I show up with a Mini Cooper. Do you see what I mean? And then he was like, look, I know you like it, but let me know what you think about the inside as well. The interior looks great and everything else, but we're two big guys. Like, I'm 6'2" nearly, and then he's 6'1", 6'2". And like, yeah, it's not the car that we would like in that sense, because it's like, you experiment, you lived it. And then we rented once a Volvo, like a Volvo C40, I think, I can't remember. It was like, wow, we never thought it would, like, that car, but inside it felt the right place as well. So you can kind of, have a feeling for it. and then you allow the universe to show you, to guide you in terms of like what that could be.
Oh, I
uh,
love.
yeah. So
I,
yeah, it's just being, flexible, and like if you don't know what you want, which I'm just bringing that point that Amanda put it in there, it's just like pay attention to the contrast. Do you see? And like contrast is one of the biggest, teachers, or the biggest clarities that you can get in your life. And like in terms of relationships as well. And I usually tell this story, like, yes, I came out from a relationship that I didn't like and everything else, but then I wrote down the stuff that, okay, what I would love in a new relationship. I would love someone, that respects me, that, supports me, and then I would love to do this and this and this, all the contrasts that came up. And when I met Gabor, I had that written down and I forgot it like 2 years later or something. And I was like, oh my God, this is exactly, what I mean, the clarity that I gained, the gift that I gained from the previous relationship, the clarity of who I would love to be with in that sense. So it's just that, understanding that the challenges, or maybe the challenging car that you may got now, and like, I was asking for a new car. It may be giving you even more clarity. Actually, you know what? I don't want that. For us, for example, we don't want the Mini Cooper, we don't want this one and that one, but this one feels, or in this range feels better in that way.
I love that, Junior. And that so you mentioned about the electric cars. I remember about 2 3 years ago we had a big car, and I was sort of thinking we don't need a big 7-seater anymore, and I'd really like a little electric car because I was starting to really feel the use of fossil fuels, and it was very personal. It wasn't something I said everyone should do. It just felt really nice. And yeah, and get renewable energy that from Mother Earth. That just feels really nice. That feels nice for me. It feels open. It feels light. It doesn't feel guilt ridden. It just felt nice. And then I remember the car was due for an MOT in a couple of months, and it had to go for service. And they said to get it through its MOT, it's going to cost about £800-900. I thought, oh God, so I can't really sell it without a new MOT. And I have to sell it knowing it's going to need about £900 worth of work. So I was like, oh, I sort of contemplating it. Anyway, I remember waking up one morning and just thinking, okay, well, what do you want? Like you've just said, this feeling of, I'd really like just a little car I just want it to be environmentally friendly and nurture Mother Earth. And yeah, and then I just saw this vision. There's a little black car on our drive, and I didn't see the make or model. And I was like, oh, but it was on our drive at the front, and our other car was gone. I was like, oh, I didn't know what it was, but I saw the outline and the shape, and the feelings of it being there's like, that's exactly what I want to feel like. I can charge it, I've got renewable energy. Because I do want a car. Like for us to not have a car would be difficult. So someone could say, well, just don't have a car then if you care that much. But for practical reasons, as a family, it's really helpful to have a car. It's that freedom, that liberation, and almost a safety thing. I can get to places if I need to.
And it's very different. Like if you live in London, I don't have a car for, I don't know, 7 years now. I did have a car for a while, but you don't, as I said to you, there's so many different options. I get a car like 5 minutes away for 10 minutes and I drop it off, and then someone else is going to use it. Do you see? So there's no
Yeah.
reason. But like if you live in a smaller town, and I've been in different places in Europe, in Brazil, and everything else, there are places that without a car, it makes it very difficult, I'd say. Yeah.
Because it's just me. You could even say, well, I'll get a little, oh, I won't have a car then, but at least my husband's got a car. But because my husband passed away, it was just us. So I didn't know what this car was, but I love the feelings of, oh, that's a perfect match. It feels mother, it's nice. It will still get about. So obviously the universe listened to what I was saying because I am open to adversity. So we know the blessings of adversity. So I'm not saying adversity isn't painful. So I'm always open to things that need to be lovingly healed and cleared from us that aren't serving us. So basically, our car got stolen. I think I've told this story.
I don't remember that. Your big car, the 7-seater, got stolen.
At 2 o'clock in the morning, our dog was upstairs with our son Alex and started barking on the landing. So I got up and I was like, Jessie, what is wrong? She was barking on top of the landing. So I thought it might be the cat. But for some reason, I remember normally I would have taken her downstairs, but I didn't. So I put her back in Alex's room and she settled down. I got back into bed. Anyway, I noticed there was a flash of light at the front of the house. I thought, what's that? Anyway, I went to ignore it and I got up and I saw our drive had gone. At the bottom of the drive, our car was we share a big drive with 3 other houses, and there were 3 massive guys in hoodies. So I was like, oh God, our car's been nicked. So I rang the police and they said, right, they were really great. And they said, I was shaking because it was like, oh my God, I've got the kids in the house. And oh my God, I was absolutely terrified. And they said, right, can you hear anybody downstairs? And I said, no, there's 3 guys at the bottom of the drive with the car. And they said, right, go onto the landing. And I could see the front. And I said, no, there's nobody in the hallway. So I went downstairs and our front door was wide open. And I think what I mistakenly did, I used to put our keys in the door because I thought people couldn't push them out to open the door. But I think you can I'm just advising thefts now. Apparently you can put something through the letterbox and hooks keys, and then they pull them back out the letterbox, and that's how they got into the house.
Wow.
So, and
I'm glad we don't leave the key in the door at the moment, but that's a clever thing. Like if
you can buy this from Amazon. So here we go. Don't leave your key. I thought mistakenly that no one could force the door. Anyway, so went downstairs. The front door was open, and they said, right, just have a quick look round. There was nobody else in the house. So they said, shut the door, found the spare key, locked the door. Anyway, and the police said, right, we're literally going to be there. We're on our way. We've got a car coming. So as I looked down the drive, they stayed on the phone with me. The car then drove off. But unbeknown to me, the neighbour down the bottom witnessed all this, and they were just about to come and see if I was okay when the police car came. So literally the car drove off in one direction, the police literally came, and the police were amazing. They were so great. I was really, I was shaken up, but the kids slept through it. They slept through the whole thing. So yeah, so this sort of said, I think what's happened is there's been no force of entry. I think what they've done is because there were like marks on the thing. So anyway, so they left, I think about 7 in the morning. So they literally stayed for me for they were so nice. And I remember getting really upset because the car they'd stolen got a sat nav in that my husband had used. So that was like my main upset. They'd got the personal items out of the car, and then I was thinking it's going to really unsettle the kids. The police went off. The kids woke up. No, tell a lie. No, Alex woke up. And then when the police came, it was Ash that didn't wake up, and he just went back to bed. He was like, and then when they woke up in the morning, Ash was like, oh God, I missed it. Oh my God, that's so exciting. The kids weren't phased at all. So to me, that was a nice, I think they feel quite safe and secure. They're quite resilient. So that was quite a little nice moment of, God, this could throw them. And it didn't at all. For me, I got some security bits and bobs, and they sent somebody around, and I was a bit nervous, I think, for a month or 2. If I heard a sound, I'd look out, but quite quickly that went. But lots of healings came from it, because I remember I had to phone somebody to get some help, which has been great. And I remember as they put the phone down, they went, what did they put? Useless. They said, does that mean me? And I actually had to process it. This person thought I was useless and I was helpless. But what came from our car being stolen was so healing. And then out of the blue, so we were carless and we need a car. So like, we need a car, an electric car. Woke up.
Just to get a context, so you did have insurance even on the old car, I believe. So you got the money for the car.
Got insurance. So that was all being processed.
And you didn't have to pay the MOT back then, or
so you didn't have to pay the £900 to get. So all that was like, and they actually gave me, the insurance company, a fair price.
That's really,
it could have been worse. So I worked out that if I'd had to sell the car with the MOT and what it would have been worth, by the car being stolen, God, I'm not advocating getting people's cars.
No, but
yeah, it was about just under £2,000.
So it was better get it stolen than actually.
No, it needed 900 quid's worth of work doing. So just on the service, they said that's a suggestion. It hadn't gone in for work, so I wasn't waiting to get work done. They just said on the service, just be aware when you have the MOT, I think you're gonna have to have a lot of work done. And they, for whatever reason, they gave me the higher end. You know, cars get a sort of range. For whatever reason, they gave me in the high range. So I was like, oh, okay. And then I just remember looking and feeling panic. I've got a car, and then just trusting and saying, I know life supports me. It's got my back. If this is happening, it's happening for good reason. I get a bit of panic about I'm a woman, God, going to get a car. All those feelings came up. Woke up on Friday morning, felt inspired to look at a website I never looked at before. There was my car. I was like, that's the car. So on the drive, on the price on auto, whatever it is, car, again, it was about £2,500 more. So when I contacted the garage, they said, yeah, it's a person that's physically disabled and they just want a quick sale because it couldn't work for them. They just want a quick sale and want to get rid of it. So I was like, kind of going, this is it, what? Hey? So I don't know why. I said, well, I offer them £1,000 less than. Like, what am I doing? Because they're thinking this is insane because it's already £2,500 less than the sort of price on all the car things. So lots of wheeling in. The guy basically.
That car that you looked that you wanted, that you visualized, basically the new car. Yeah.
I don't know why. So normally I'm quite. I don't barter at all. But something with him was like, you make sure you barter. After lots of them saying, no, we'll give you a clean car shield or something. I said, well, it's a shame we can't do business, but, they got back and gave me £500 off. That's a good price. And they delivered it. And I got the car, I think, within 3 days. I got the insurance money. It was quite a bit extra of my own money to pay for this new car. And then I remember it being delivered and the guy drove off, and then my angle of looking at it was what I'd seen in my head. And I have to say, it's the best car I've ever had. We've got a plug-in on the wall, it's a fast charging, we've got a range extender, so if we need to go somewhere we can. It uses petrol to charge the engine, so it's not got an engine, so I don't know how it works, but we can get about. We go to Yorkshire, we go all over the place. But I would say 99% of the time, I just use renewable electricity. I've got a charger in the wall. We got that free. They're meant to be about 600 quid. Went onto the site. It was this new thing being set up, encouraging people. So as long as I'd answer frequent questions, they could put a reader on my charging thing. I got it all for free, installed for free. And it's the latest one from Switzerland. So the law of attraction, it does work.
No, I understand. But you had a thought of having a new car before anything happened. Do you see what I mean? It's interesting, as I was saying to you guys as well, is that contrast. I would love, the contrast of life is like, oh, this feels a bit old. I would love something new. How do I get rid of this? And then life, like, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? We're going to get rid of this car. We're going to give you, this one, the new one. Look at the vision of this one. This is perfect for you and everything.
And I think what was beautiful as well, my trust and faith in life, that life's, so for me being a bit useless, I had an idea I was useless and incompetent.
It's interesting, like, that we have this underlying thoughts of like, I am useless. And I want you guys as well, that you are watching this, that you might.
But like we say, when you can see in any adversity, there's always blessings and gifts. It's never a punishment. Hold out. That's when the faith comes in. And it actually deepened. The person I thought called me useless, I'd always be a bit bumbly around this person because of my financial advisor. I was a bit bumbling, a bit sort of, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, do I? And he'd draw me graphs and pictures and stuff. And I'd be like, oh. And he was so nice and so patient with me all the time. But I always had this idea that he thought I was a bit useless because my husband was so good with money, really business minded, really switched on, super bright, very confident. And I thought that wasn't me. So in the end, I had to contact him and say, "Oh, I am so sorry. This is going to sound insane, but I kind of heard you say something when we put the phone down, and I need to talk to you about it because I just felt." And he was so great. He said, "God, I've got to be honest." He said he hates Donald Trump. Most times you talk to him, the conversation comes back to Donald Trump, and he was helping me to. I was getting some money from the to pay for the new car, and he was helping me to do some bits and bobs. And he said, while I was talking to you, on my computer was a news feed about Donald Trump. And he was like, "Oh, useless." And someone listening say, "Well, he was covering that, was he not?" But the fact we had that conversation, it took our professional relationship to another level. Because he actually said, "I can't tell you, I can't tell you how much I've admired you from seeing you go through what you've been through." And he said some things that even make me want to cry now. I thought, I didn't know he saw me like that. And it's like life had set that up to say, you actually need to know how this person sees you. And he said, "God, I love talking to you. You've really helped me see things from a different perspective." He said, "I've never said this to you." But he said, "No," he said, "Yeah, the money isn't your forte, but that's why I'm here." So much came from our car being nicked off the drive.
The gifts, yeah, this is what, I'll bring another analogy that we mentioned just before we come into the live as well, which is, you probably heard that saying of, before things get better, they get worse. And the analogy that I was comparing is like, if you ever done a refurbishment in your house or participated, the chaos that it creates. You know how much is painful to walk into that house, especially if you're living in the house while the refurbishment is happening. It is painful. But, once that is done, you can see that the new is worth all of that as well. So I feel, and before we actually have the refurbishment of everything, you probably know that you have that visualization or that visual. Oh, it would be really nice if that kitchen looked this way. Do you see what I mean? Or if that living room would look that way, and then if that room upstairs would look that way, and so on. So all that visual board in your head is created, and then you actually sign a contract with the universe, with yourself, or with the refurbishment company, and then you decide to go through the chaos in that sense. And that's when we learning, and that's how we gain strength, we gain resilience, we learn how to deal with it. And if you do that once and twice and so on, you kind of, I'm not saying you get used to it, but you kind of like, you understand and you start learning the gifts of it that it's coming up as well. So it may be, but because of that visualization that I'm on the head, you see like, oh, I would love a new car and everything else. And then now comes the refurbishment, comes the taking the car away, taking all the stuff that was holding her from, like, I'm not worthy, I'm useless, and everything else, and helping to create the feeling that, oh, I'm worthy of this new car, I'm worthy of driving something that I feel good with, this and that. So there is a physical change, but there is also that emotional, that feeling change that happens through the chaos, through that part that we can't understand what's going on, where is what and everything else.
I really love that you brought this up because, let's say you're driving an old car, and for a while it's fine. You don't question it, but you start to get to where, well, I don't think this is okay anymore. It keeps breaking down. I'm late. I couldn't get somewhere to let people down. It's frustrating. Actually, what am I looking for? I'm looking for freedom. I'm looking for security. I like the feeling when I get in the car, it's going to start and take me to where I need to go. And it's that, isn't it? And that's why you're saying the contrast is so beautiful, because like you said about relationships, it can sometimes get to where we're going, this just isn't feeling comfortable anymore. It's not. And those walls have got to come down for me to bring in the beautiful relationship that you brought in. And I think we're all going through that, aren't we? That deeper thing of You know, so don't, I know you and I were talking about this before we came online as well, but that don't be afraid sometimes if it feels like a lot of your exterior walls of your life are crumbling in on you. Don't think it's because you've done something wrong. It can sometimes be because,
You're
like,
creating something new. Do you see? You're creating the
focus on the new, focus on the feelings that are coming up need to be held and healed and felt and loved. So don't think, you know, God, I'm a bad person because I created a crap car or a bad relationship, but it's think actually what is being healed, an unworthiness of I'm a victim or I'm powerless or I need somebody to make. So, you know, for you, it was beautiful, wasn't it? Because it allowed you to look at what are these feelings, what's here that was keeping my relationship, that wasn't serving me in my highest purpose, or that person. And then you held and you nurtured that and you opened your heart to yourself that. And then you're able to say, once I've released that and healed that, I can then bring in what does the new might look like, but more importantly, what does it feel like? And then we feel it. And it's from those feelings, because the universe kind of doesn't work in images as much. It kind of works on feelings, it works on vibration. So, and that list you found, isn't that beautiful? You found your list 2 years after you met Gabor and ticked every box. Might not have been, I don't know, what you thought, but he ticks every box. And isn't that beautiful?
yeah. And again, sometimes you don't need to be conscious of, your vision board in that sense, but because you connected through the feeling, through the emotions and so on, it starts to show up and start to happen as well. So yeah, I think, guys, we got a long episode again, which is good. I enjoyed it a lot again, Amanda. And I would love to hear from you guys as well, your little stories. As when we have stories, like I had like a simple one as well. Like I always dreamed like a specific computer, and the contrast came from exactly what was happening. I used to have a PC, I have a Mac. I mean, there are, different technologies today, but it was like every time I wanted to open the computer, I had to wait. There are X amount of updates and so on. And there is those little frustrations that you put it into your life, and then you're like, oh, I would love something that I can open up and I can use it. Do you see what I mean? A simple thing as that.
Yeah.
And I put it on my vision board and I start visualizing and everything. Back then I couldn't, afford one and everything else. And then, life starts to transform, and then you can actually create that new computer, that new idea and everything. But again, it's not for us to, going back to the analogy of the guy on the top of the roof, saying God didn't come to help me. It
Yeah.
might come in different ways. It's just to stay open. I can actually, oh, I'll take this hand. Oh, my car got stolen. Wow, what's the universe telling me here? What's the next step? Oh, I get to buy a new one. I have that visualization, like that vision of like, oh, that little black car on my driveway and so on. So allow those visions to come true, allow those contrasts, to actually make a list of the things that you actually, oh, I'd love a relationship where this can happen and that can happen. Or I'd love, like a little computer that actually can work and open up, and it can be anything in that sense. So
And I think the beautiful thing is, before I know we need to go, is the thing of, we sometimes, the ego thinks I can't have that feeling until the physical things manifested. And we're saying it's kind of the opposite way round. No matter what's happening in your life, yeah, feel the feelings that need to be brought up and healed from that. But you can feel, oh, the liberation of, so what's the opposite of frustration? It's freedom, isn't it? Liberation. What's the opposite of fear? Well, it's love. So and then you get to a place where you realize, I can eventually get to a place I can manifest what I'd like to experience and have physically, but actually I can always feel that loving peace, liberation, joy anytime, kind of no matter what's happening outside. So it's that almost next step, isn't it, of actually, when that red Corvette shows up, I will really enjoy the physical freedom of that. But I felt liberated and free before that turned up. So it's that sort of deeper angle, isn't it, as well, of just making sure because the ego will say, I can't feel freedom until the new computer turns up and I've got it in front of me. So I can't be happy until the computer shows up, and then I can be free. And it's remembering it's actually the other way round. We're not beholden to any manifestation to feel free and liberated and supported and safe and creative and love.
And yeah, just wrapping it up in there, because at the end of the day, we want the feeling that something gives to us. You see what I mean? The safety of being in a relationship where we feel safe, or the freedom of having the money to buy something. But it always goes back to the feeling, and a feeling cannot, I understand that the outside, it can manifest and everything else, and we try to look for that feeling into the outside, but the feeling is internal. We can create that feeling. And I remember one story, like from one of my mentors as well, and he used to say, look, how would you feel if, let's say, you're driving an old car, but you know that the new car is coming next Monday?
Yeah.
You feel excited. You're driving that old car with no problem at all.
Yeah.
And then how would you feel if you're driving the best car in the world, your dream car, but you know it's going to be taken next Monday?
Yeah.
It's not, the thing that you're actually driving on right now. It's actually how you feel about it, what's your expectation, what you're creating in your head. You could be driving the best car in the world right now and creating in your head that you're not worthy of it, that you're gonna lose it and everything else. Or you could be driving the oldest, ugliest car and be the happiest person because
And
it's,
isn't it beautiful? Life will always, whatever we think we want, life always gives us everything we need, because it will always bring up what's blocking that unworthiness,
yeah,
useless,
you'll bring the clarity. Yeah.
yeah, whatever comes up. So life, nothing's ever a punishment. It never is. Life adores you, and it always wants the absolute best for you.
Awesome, guys. So this is our episode for today. So if you if you tried vision boards before, and, if this could give you a little bit more clarity of, those frustrating moments and everything, I hope that helped you. If you didn't try vision boards and you want to try as well, I would literally advise you as well, but like connect with the feeling and so on that we mentioned there. If there is anything that is coming, like, but why is this car not coming and everything, just pay attention to the feelings that you have inside. As someone that was just mentioning out there, it's like, it might be that we can, discover a few things like, oh, I'm useless. Do you see what I mean? I'm holding on into that feeling, for example, or that, okay, can I, have a conversation with that person? Like, look, let's clear it up. And then
Yeah.
I bring you, something new, a new way, a new belief, a new story that you can tell to yourself as well.
Just briefly say that's so beautifully mentioned. So I remember I was talking to this particular guy, I thought I was useless, and he just said, stop comparing yourself to James. Your gifts and talents are completely different. So stop doing that. And it was like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. So yeah, sometimes it can be because we're comparing ourselves as well and thinking, like, I'm coming up short. No, you're precious. You are infinitely valuable in the gifts that you're bringing to this world, and everyone's a little bit different. So that comparison thing, that can be a huge sabotage.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I mean, on the top of comparison, there's so many tricks and things that are in our head. It could be comparison. It could be a belief that you got from our, parents when they say something. But it's just, I'm not saying that you have to dig down on everything, but like whenever you visualize something, you create something, just bear in mind that that refurbishment, it's coming. Do you see what I mean? It might be that you have to change the pipes. You might, have to dig deeper into the foundation of the house that you didn't know that you had to go through. It's just be aware that, and going through that refurbishment, just bear in mind, look, how you visualize that living room, how you visualize that kitchen, how you visualize that stuff that you created there. And it's just everything that's happening. The professional help is there as well. Like, oh, I didn't know that I have to change the whole piping system of the house, and I have to create all this new, cost and everything else. But you don't need to go there yourself. You can ask for some help. We can, you know, can bring a plumber, we can bring, you know, a therapist, we can bring whatever it is that you need. And
Like that guy on the rooftop, he sent a boat, he sent a helicopter, he sent a plane, he sent all sorts of things, and it's saying, I trust that if I need help with this, help will come, how that will feel. And it doesn't always have to mean the house has to blow up. Sometimes we can manifest with not too much to go wrong either. So, but
good, guys. So thank you so much for watching. If this makes sense, you know, let us know in the comments. If you want to share your story as well, we'd love to hear that as well. If it didn't make sense as well and you didn't like it, let us know as well. It's a good way of doing it. If you leave your thumbs up, it helps us to find other people that maybe want to watch this. If you haven't subscribed yet, and to know when we're going to be, you know, releasing the next episodes, there will be 2 more on this season that's coming up. We're going to share a little bit more. Let's just before we time out, like I'm focusing a little bit more for the next few months into Brazil, into business coaching, and to self-employed and so on. There's some really cool stuff that I'm going to be working on. Amanda has some really cool stuff as well towards YouTube and the Wakey Wakey, and like really cool stuff that's coming up as well. So we're going to give a little bit more of that on the next couple of episodes as well. But yeah, stay tuned. And if you want to, you know, know more about that and everything else, just let us know in the comments, and then I'll guide you through it as well. Cool. Good. See you guys. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
bye for now. Bye bye.